He was 5 yards. Dude, he just rolled over on his belly. That's the first buck of the season right there. And, that's a big, solid, mature buck. That rush never gets old.
This past week, our hunting efforts have met with very limited success. Like a truck sliding sideways up a muddy hill, we just couldn't get any traction. The mature bucks were tied down with does, and the does were deep in hiding. Seemingly nothing moved. We tried the timber ridges, nothing. We tried the feeding areas, only fawns. A number of our team members took the week off, knowing that better days were ahead. But Collins Marine had a great hunt in the very middle of this dead stretch. Collins is a longtime friend of Josh Sparks. The two constantly share information and stand locations. They love filming each other and look forward to any opportunity to spend time together in the tree. In fact, Collins played a key role in helping Josh find great spots on public land this year. But it was not Josh who was filming Collins on the evening of November 15th on this Eastern Iowa bow hunt. It was their mutual friend, Caleb Greiner.
It is November 15th, and Caleb and I are back down on his home farm. We're back in here now where we actually had an encounter last week with a really wide 10-point. We're still trying to figure out if we're going to shoot that deer or not. It'll be a game time decision, but we actually put the stock on him right back here behind us, and this is just a really good area. Transition, there's 3 big bedding areas, and we're kind of right in the middle of all 3 of them, so hopefully we can have some deer come cruising through here this afternoon and maybe get our first buck on the ground for the year. So stick with us. It should be a pretty fun night. My grunt tube. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? There, ready? Come in. I'm all over him, don't even ask. He's gonna be at 30 yards.
goats. That's a big 9 from last year.
I know.
Goats. Buddy, he's gonna go down right there. You know what it is.
He was 5 yards.
I can smell him, dude.
Dude, he just rolled over on his belly. All right, guys. So we called him the Big 9 last year. Caleb and Josh actually were in here hunting this deer in this draw last year. We have not seen this deer all year, and he just came into 5 yards at the base of the tree. We just smoked a giant, dude. We're gonna go ahead and call the boys, let them know what happened, and probably wait for them to get here before we go walking up on them, get a few things done here in the tree. I mean, we're gonna sit till dark because Caleb, he's got a tag still, so there's a lot of mature deer in the area, so we'll see. We might get another crack at one.
He's a 4-year-old dude.
All right, just had Shala and Josh. They came and met us. Just got out of the stand. We're actually standing right where I shot the deer. Half the arrow's here, so we're gonna go ahead and pick up the blood trail just for fun and follow it right to him. There he is.
That's insane. There's a lot of history with that deer. Do you know whose dad that deer is? Josh.
Guess who found the shed to this last year? Josh.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I forgot we found that, didn't
Dude, that's so cool.
Look how much he's been fighting.
All right, guys, it's the next morning here, and thought we'd get the buck out in some better light, give you guys a better look at him, and kind of just a little story with this deer. You know, this is a deer that we believe to be 5 or 6.5 possibly, and actually this is the first buck that showed up on camera this year. Looking back, we only had one set of pictures of him in velvet, and we really didn't see him much after that, and luck was on our side last night when we finally got our eyes on him. And knowing that, I mean, right when we saw him, we both could tell it was a Big 9, and we knew he was always running that area. So calling yesterday was kind of the key to that hunt. You know, he came in and hit that fence line, and we thought he was gonna go check the bedding area to our north. So Caleb threw a Snort-Wheeze at him, and that just got his attention right away. And he worked that scrape, like I said last night, and ended up coming into about 7 yards and gave me a shot. But I mean, last night, another funny thing last night, we actually had an encounter with another stud 4-year-old right after I killed this deer. He came into about 15 yards. Ultimately, we gave him the pass because I think that deer is gonna grow up to be something special if he can get one more year on him. But I mean, it's an awesome way to cap off my season. You know, me and Caleb have been hunting hard since October, getting out as much as we can. Had some great encounters. I actually had a really good encounter on November 3rd. Had a buck we call the Big 10 on a different property. Unfortunately, I didn't hit him that night. I missed, shot right over his back. But looking back, I'm kind of glad that happened because this is a deer that we've been after for the last couple of years. Have a lot of history with him. Big old mature buck, something that we've been looking for all season. And I mean, what a season to end, or for me, what a way to end my bow season. You know, me and Caleb, it's hard to beat shooting a deer in a stand with one of your buddies. We don't get to do it often, so when it happens, it's super special. And I mean, November 15th is gonna be one we remember for a long time.
Every week I've sounded like a broken record as I updated the Josh Honeycutt story. His Kentucky season has been a tour of misery as all the bucks he watched during the summer either moved off or died from EHD. Finally this week I get to offer something positive. Josh spent the opening weekend of the Missouri rifle season with friends at their annual hunting camp.
All right, so we're back in for the afternoon sit. Hunted this morning. This was day 2 in Missouri. Didn't see but 2 small bucks this morning. There's several good bucks in this area. We made the switch. We were in a stand this morning, came to a blind this afternoon, but it's just one of those things where just really didn't see a lot of action, and we were already kind of right there between two bedding areas, so we decided to make the move to food this afternoon on the standing bean field right here. And it's a pretty solid spot. We've got a lot of native grasses behind us, and then a pretty solid stand of beans here, and you could tell that the deer have been hammering these beans. We have a front that's moving through this afternoon, should get the deer up on their feet. It's not a big front, it's not going to really affect us temperature-wise, but there is some rain coming, so that should get the bucks up on their feet. We're going to settle in. Hopefully we see a big deer this afternoon. Matt? 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 Oh, so we just killed one. That's the first buck of the season right there. And, that's a big, solid, mature buck. Big 5.5-year-old deer right there. And one of them that we were in here looking for. Just a great deer. But I can't handle it, man. I can't handle it because I've been on a dry spell. This has been the toughest season of my life, literally. At least the last 8 to 9 years anyway. But man, we finally hopefully broke the ice there. I did not see the deer go down, but I saw blood coming out of him as soon as I hit him, so hopefully that deer didn't make it very far. I marked where he went last. But man, that was the first deer of the afternoon. That rush never gets old. Had to make this trip to Missouri to hunt with some of my best friends, and just could not be more pleased to take a big-bodied mature deer like that.
Look at the body on that thing.
It's a mature deer.
That's an old deer there, dude. I had that deer last year. He was a straight 8.
Yeah.
Huge body, had like a goiter on the front of him.
Look how big his neck is.
Oh yeah.
That is a pink neck.
Literally.
All right, so we've had a great hunt camp. This is the second day of the hunt, and we came up here to Indian Hill, hunting here at the Winchester camp, and it's just been an absolute blast. We got a bunch of people in camp. We're having fun, and this right here is a brute of a deer, probably the biggest bodied deer that I've ever killed. Heavy deer, thick neck. He's obviously in full rut, but just an ultra mature deer, and couldn't be happier to have tagged this buck this afternoon.
For many, deer hunting is part of a rich tradition that revolves around spending quality time with friends and family. The hunt itself becomes secondary to the camp life and the camaraderie, but for Josh Honeycutt, this year the hunt was also a season changer. Now it is time to catch up with our other team members. After finding out on the 12th that his big buck was dead, shot by a neighbor, Jared Mills took 10 days off, skipping the rut's lull and getting work done. His first hunt back in the stand was November 22nd, when we found him after another great buck. This one a giant he had trail camera photos of on one of his permission farms. After seeing the buck and realizing he was out of the game, Jared headed back to the same field the next evening, setting up 300 yards closer to where the buck came out the day before. You can keep up with Jared's hunt for this great buck by tuning into our daily video blogs, either on the Midwest Whitetail daily YouTube page or on the MidwestWhitetail.com website. As it was to most of us, the rut's lull was not kind to Mike Reed as he hunted the urban zone near his eastern Iowa home. During this past week, Mike has had minimal action and no mature buck sightings. We left Josh Sparks planning to change gears and film and hunt with his friend Caleb Greiner. Now that Collins Marine is tagged out, Caleb is ready to hunt. He and Josh plan to take advantage of the increase in buck movement that always comes at the end of the breeding phase. They will spend the next 10 days hunting Caleb's best farms. Those public land stand sites that Josh worked so hard to find will not go empty, however. Young Max Mongrello, Josh's intern and primary cameraman, will now take over the hunting duties. Max has 10 days to fill his first ever Iowa bow tag and has gotten off to a great start, seeing 2 solid shooters on the 22nd. As Max and Jared have shown, mature buck movement is definitely picking up. The does are mostly bred now, and the mature bucks that were locked down a week ago are cruising again. The rut's second peak of movement lacks the intensity we saw in early November. There is very little chasing now, but it makes up for it in consistency. The mature bucks are now dividing their time between looking for does and feeding. That means that the action once again moves toward the food sources, and at least some of it takes place in daylight. I've been waiting 2 weeks for this transition. Often my best hunting takes place after the peak of breeding, from November 20th through the 26th. Sometimes it lasts even longer. I saved my cornfield hunting spot for just this event and went in for my first post-breeding hunt on the 22nd. It was definitely a hunt to remember. Unfortunately, we don't have the space in today's episode to bring you all the action from that hunt, but it is enough to say that the lockdown on my farm is officially over. If you want to watch the events from my November 22nd hunt, you can check it out on the daily video blog pages, and I will bring you the highlights next Monday here on the weekly show. These stories and more will continue to unfold right here every week. We appreciate you joining us on this journey. We will see you right back here again next week for the next episode of Midwest Whitetail, and remember to always dream big.